Hello and thank you for visiting Astrology TV. So I've decided to do this video series which will cover the planets in their locations in the signs and in the houses. Now for the sun, at my website robshawastrology.ca, all the sun sign information is there because of course what most people, lay people, realize about astrology is that it's all about the sun sign, right? But that's only partially true. Everybody is made up of all 12 horoscope signs within their natal horoscope chart. And as well, the sun does indicate personality, yes. So that's why you can read about sun sign and get a lot of information. So I have at my website detailed what sun in Aries is, sun in Taurus. Just by clicking on each sign, those signs are representative of the sun, and sometimes the moon and rising sign in those signs as well. And I should also add, if you have 3 or more planets in any sign, that's called a stellium, and that also gives emphasis to that sign for you. So I thought it would be a good idea to discuss the sun through the modalities. Even though on the website I have the sun through each sign, there are groupings to the horoscope signs that do indicate some similarities. So with the quadruplicities, also known as the modalities, we have cardinal, fixed, and mutable signs. And the cardinal signs are Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. And what those signs have in common is they tend to be self-oriented. They're called a cardinal sign because they like to be first, and they often can be the leaders of the pack. All of Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn sun sign people, they do tend to be out there. They want to create things. They want to very often even help other people. They may come first, but there's a lot of room for other people with cardinal signs that you'll find. They're not always selfish. They're just self-centered. Now what that means generally is they need to understand how things affect themselves to understand how it affects other people. So it's a lot to do with how they think and how they act. They think me first. The sun in the fixed signs, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius, there you have people who are people-oriented. They tend to have a green thumb with people. They love people. I mean, anybody who knows Taurus, Leo, they can be so charming. And Scorpio and Aquarius, although sometimes considered to be more serious fixed signs than the other two, they can actually be very charming. I always point out what a wonderful sense of humor Scorpio can have, for example. And Aquarius people can be some of the most well-known entertainers in all parts of the art world. So don't think that just because they're a little quieter doesn't mean that they're not people-oriented. They are. The people-oriented signs, Taurus, Leo, Scorpion, and Aquarius, they tend to like to work with people. They can be very friendly. They like to, rub shoulders. They like to get close. And they will help you with stuff. The people-oriented signs, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius sun sign, they tend to be people you can rely on, people that want to be there for you, but they also expect you to be there for them as well. There is a trade-off with the fixed signs sometimes. The one thing I find a little troublesome for the fixed signs, they do not like to leave their comfort zone. They're called fixed for a reason. The most famous fixed quality for Taurus is their stubbornness. But all of the fixed signs can be stubborn and even very rigid and fixed in how they view people, situations, morals, values, etc. In fact, the fixed signs might be rather old-fashioned with values and morals, and they are less likely and less eager to change than other signs. Now, if you know Aquarius people, well, they're very changeable about some things, but they usually are not very changeable about their ideals. The mutable signs are Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. And if you have your sun in a mutable sign, you tend to be much more group-oriented. You like to network. You like to be involved with a lot of people. One-on-one is fine, and being alone is okay in short doses, but you really gravitate towards people. Mutable signs are the people that you'll find in groups. They join associations. They like to go to church for the group activity of it, or a house of worship. They like to be in a movie theater. So this pandemic has been really hard on the mutable signs because they are so people and group oriented, it's hard for them to be alone sometimes. In fact, if mutable signs spend too much time alone, they tend to worry and they tend to get a little bit neurotic even, because they really do need that interaction with other people to feel whole. You know, cardinal signs, they don't need anyone else. They feel whole within themselves. Of course, they do need other people. All human beings do. But the mutable signs, they really need other people for sure. And they do gravitate towards group situations. The other thing about mutable signs I find so fascinating is they're the groups of signs that are there taking care of the rest of us. You know, a cardinal sign can help take care of other people too, not just themselves. But the mutable signs more so tend to find themselves in careers where it's service oriented. It's almost like they're here to, or they enjoy doing things for other people. Now, of course, there is give and take with every sign, and the mutable signs may rely on you a little too much for some things as well. Sometimes because they're so friendly and they're so eager to help, sometimes they may expect you to be as well, when that's not at all the case. But mutable signs are also very tolerant, much more than the other two groupings of cardinal and fixed signs, usually. So you'll find that mutable signs are pretty easygoing, and they love to communicate and they love to learn. Now, another grouping for the signs are called the triplicities, or the elements, which sometimes is a little bit better known by people. So you have your fires, I already talked about, the elements. You have your first group are the fire signs, and they are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. And fire signs, as it sounds like, they tend to be fiery and energetic, full of verve and love of life and knowledge. They can be quite a spirited sign. As a group, fire signs may even be spiritual, but they also tend to be athletic. They like to keep busy. They like to be out somewhere. They like to be going somewhere. They like to visit new places. And they do tend to be out there in a few ways sometimes, the fire signs, but we love them because they're so energetic. The fire signs are the ones that get us outdoors. They get us doing sports. They get us involved in things, much like mutable signs do, but again, they're different. The next element are earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. They tend to be, as it sounds, down to earth. They can be the salt of the earth type people. They are the most reliable group of the zodiac signs for sure. You can almost always count on an earth sign to be there for you, and anyone who's married to one knows that to be true. Earth signs can be quite busy at taking care of you and other people, especially within the home. They like to be relied upon. They like to be seen as someone who is reliable and there for you. And by the way, they kind of expect you to be there for them as well. The earth signs are attracted very much to earth and nature. You'll usually find them outdoors or gardening. They tend to love animals very much as well. They tend to love all nature. Again, very attracted to the earth and anything that comes from the earth, for example, money. The earth signs tend to attract materialism or material resources in general. And little known fact, almost every country's financial system is based on money, which comes from the earth, whether it be the gold standard mined from the earth or other valuable materials, or the fact that most money is printed on paper, which comes from wood as well. So interesting that money and earth signs tend to have a relationship to one another, but not just money, all material things. Earth signs also are very prone to enjoying things like carpentry and building things too. The air signs are Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, and just as we send cellular signals and radio and TV waves through the air, so air signs are very often involved with communication. They love to talk. All of the air signs love to talk. Aquarius more so once they know you better because they're a fixed sign too, but everybody well knows a Gemini who is hard to turn off sometimes because they love to talk. Libras can also be quite talkative. They may be more interested in talking about themselves because they're a cardinal sign, but all of the air signs do tend to gravitate towards one or more forms of communication, but also travel. Like the mutable signs who also are into education and travel, air signs, well, when you think about it, when you travel to a different place, you can't help but learn. And sometimes when you read a book or watch a video, whether it's about geography or not, you're taken to another place. So it's interesting how those two fields do seem to be naturally related to one another, and air signs love communication, education, and travel. The water signs are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, the last of the four groups of elements. And the water signs are watery about their emotions, their sensitivity. They can be very spiritual as well. And in fact, the water signs are more prone to being psychic or intuitive. Some famous psychics have talked about psychic ability and intuition as seeming to come either through memory or in a way there's a watery influence, it seems, to that part of knowledge. And for sure, water signs do seem to be able to tap into that a little easier than some of the other signs. Water signs also tend to be just more emotional and sometimes more sensitive, empathetic, compassionate, and caring in general. You're going to find water signs gravitate towards careers that have them helping people, healing people, or even ministering to people if it might be a spiritual or religious concern that they have. Water signs also can be a little oversensitive, a little over-emotional sometimes. They're the people that a certain group of the kids call somebody emo, as in being very emotional. Yeah, very likely the water signs. But as well, water signs can be as wonderfully and reliable as earth signs. In fact, water and earth signs have some similarities. They tend to be more reliable, down-to-earth people, whereas the air and the fire signs tend to have a relationship to one another as well, in that they're all about communication and energy and drive and getting somewhere in life. In general, remember, all of us are made up of all 12 horoscope signs, all 4 elements, and all 3 quadruplicities. So whatever your sun sign is, it doesn't matter. Do know that all 12 signs are influenced in your zodiac, but it is how many planets you have in particular signs that will give emphasis to those signs or not. So hopefully in this video you saw how I didn't take you through the sun through each of the signs, because you can do that at my website, but how you see that the groups of signs actually have some qualities that they share with others in their group. Thanks for joining me.